everyone, Kristina Werner here. Welcome to another video for assignmentsofstamp.com. Today I'm going to be showing you 3 easy and simple cards that you can make using supplies from the May 2021 card kit. So I've got this fun stamp set called Dandelion Messages, and then all of these pattern papers, which are absolutely gorgeous. I think I could use about 3 more sets of these papers. I'm going to cut down one of the papers to be a little bit smaller than a card front. So the final size is 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 tall. That's going to give me a really good area out of this pattern paper to work with. I'm first going to stamp using the group of dandelions. I'm going to have them centered directly on my pattern paper, and I'm stamping them in VersaFine ONYX black ink. This is a great black ink for stamping, and it's nice, stark, thick black. It's one of my favorite inks to work with. So I'm going to set this piece aside for a minute, and I'm going to prepare another piece of pattern paper. I've got this one here that's sort of a rainbow gradient, and I wanted to have more color showing on my card. So I'm going to cut this at a diagonal so that I get more color showing. I've taken off the corner and then using that new straight edge to cut my pattern paper. The size of this one is 4 by 6. I'm going to be putting it on a 5 by 7 card, so that's the perfect dimensions to go on a 5 by 7 card. I stamped that group of dandelions once again over on that left side. And then I'm going to take the individual dandelion images from the stamp set and add more dandelions to the right of the group. And here I am stamping 2 of those dandelions together. This just expands that whole scene of the dandelions to fill the area of my pattern paper a little bit better. All right, I set that one aside, and I'm going to show you another card design not using any pattern paper at all. I started out with one of the individual dandelion stamps and stamped that in Hot Mama ink. I'm then going to take another one of the individual dandelion images, and this time I'm going to stamp it in Hot Lips ink. These are some colors that I thought were reminiscent of the pattern papers that I used on the previous 2 card designs. So I've stamped that, and then I'm going to take my paper out of my MISTI, and I'm going to be stamping the little heart images from the stamp set using dull pink ink. Now, I took this out of the MISTI tool because I find for really small stamps like this, doing it more like a freestyle stamping works best for me, especially if I'm going to be repeating any of the stamps. And this smaller heart, I did repeat twice. I then went back to my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp the greeting for my card in that same black ink. Now these greetings are very dainty, so when you go to stamp them, barely let the stamp kiss the surface of your paper, and you'll get a fantastic impression. So here's my basic card design. We'll finish this later and put it on a card base, but that's my 3rd card. Okay, going back to my first 2 cards that use the pattern paper. For those greetings on those cards, I decided to take some black cardstock and prep it with an anti-static powder tool, stamp the greetings in Versamark ink, once again just barely kissing the surface of the paper, and then applying some white embossing powder. This is alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. It's a very fine, detailed white embossing powder. After I tapped off the excess, I then hit it with my heat tool until it was smooth and melted. I cut out each one of these greetings to be adhered to my cards, and for this 3-line greeting, I decided to separate the lines so that I could have my greeting kind of fill up more area of the card design. For this first pattern paper stamped card that I did, I cut out that greeting as a strip, and it's the perfect size to go across my entire pattern paper piece. Set that aside for a minute, and then apply some very thin foam strips from Darice on the back of these little itty bitty strips that I cut out earlier. So you can see how I separated that greeting so it took up a little more space. I then created a 5 by 7 card base out of some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110-pound cardstock. I used Tombow Extreme adhesive to adhere that pattern paper piece to the card. I'm prepping 2 card bases for my other 2 cards. I scored them so they're a top folding card, and then adhered them in the same way. I used that same Tombow Extreme adhesive, centered it on the card base, and then pressed down. And for the card that I did all that stamping, it will essentially be a 1-layer card. I'm just going to adhere this directly down onto that card base. So this card is going to be great for mailing since it is so thin. So those are the 3 cards that I've created using the May 2021 card kit. Just a reminder that you can receive the card kit by subscribing over at simonsthestamp.com, or you can just buy it just for 1 month and you'll just get the stamp set in the mail. All of the supplies that I've used today are available at simonsthestamp.com, and thank you so much for watching.